Almost there now. Whew. Swapping two people is harder work than you might think. Even a master magician like me can't guarantee I'll get it right the first time. Hey, wait! Is this the back one? I can't tell. They both look the same inside. Huh? No, that's not it. I'll try again.
7!
Hey, slow down! Honestly!
5! 4! 3!
Whoops! That doesn't count!
0!
Ta-da!
Hostia puta.
Huh? Is this part of the show?
Esto se lo ha jugado alguien. Alguien se lo ha jugado. Fijo. Esto no me lo esperaba. O sea, cuando él ha tardado tanto en que se hiciese el cambio, ha sido para que comprobasen que seguía ahí.
Mr. Lenny, you're going to use magic to fix the stage now, right?
What happened?
Oh no. Maybe this isn't part of the show. The girl was still in that box, right?
This performance is over. Medical staff with me. Guards, secure the scene and detain all the performers. Seal the exits. No one is allowed in or out at this time.
Yes, that's right. If this was just an accident, then we must investigate the cause.
No need to be alarmed, you two. We'll get to the bottom of this soon enough. Unfortunately, the person who is in the magic box has been pronounced dead. His name was Cowell, one of the assistants in Linny's magic troupe. Apparently, the fireworks on stage ignited the ropes that were suspending the water tank, which then caused the tank to fall. As of now, we are still not sure why we found Cowell in the box, rather than the guest from the audience. And after an initial search of the area, the guards have confirmed that the girl is nowhere to be found. It appears that this incident was not merely some mishap with the... And there are many indications that it is connected with the case of the serial disappearances.
The serial disappearances case?
That's the case that Charlotte mentioned before.
I know the truth. I can see through the whole thing. I say that our powerful magician, Mr. Linny, is now the prime suspect for the serial disappearances case.
Huh? Why me? This whole thing was an accident.
No, this all occurred during your magic show, did it not? The missing girl disappeared after being chosen. Now that I think about it, that whole speech about magicians making things disappear was nothing more than a...
That can't be right. How can Lenny do this? He was in the box on the stage the entire time. We can even hear his voice. Besides, before the show, he told us that he would like to catch the criminal behind the disappearances. He couldn't possibly mean catching himself.
Save discussion for a later time, please. Lady Farina, may I assume that your comments just now come...
I just think that he... Well, I think...
But what Lady Farina said just now makes perfect sense.
A kidnapping and murder carried out under the cover of a magic show. Lady Farina...
I mean, of course, my dear people. That's right. I mean you, traveler. You'll support Linny, won't you? Then there's no problem at all. You know, the traveler and I already... But with Linny's help, our little duel ended in a draw.
So
draws. Between the two of us, there must be a clear winner and loser.
It wasn't a draw.
I understand. Charges have now been pressed. Well, Traveler, seems Lady Farina has set you in her sights. But putting her dramatic rhetoric, are you willing to act as Mr. Linney's attorney and defend him in this case? Very well. The trial will be held a day from now in the Opera House. Both sides may investigate the scene to build their cases and search for the truth. Linney and his troupe are all potential suspects and shall remain within the Opera House. The audience may begin to leave in an orderly fashion once they have been cleared by the guards.
A day isn't that long. Let's see what kind of case this big shot outlander can build in such a short amount.
Bueno, pues de ser abogado en el Judgment, a serlo también aquí.
Sorry about everything that happened just now. Were you frightened?
Of course.
Está jodido el tío ahora,
After
¿eh?
witnessing an accident like that.
Yeah, I'm a little shaken up myself. How could this happen? And poor Cal. I know you already claimed that you would defend me, but now it's just us talking. Tell me. Good to hear. Thank you so much for trusting me.
Ser detective, básicamente. Bueno, voy a ser detective y abogado, ¿no? Porque tengo que defenderlo. ¿Quién me va a decir que de jugar al juego siendo detective y abogado, voy a tener que hacerlo aquí también?
I'm sure everyone sees me as the biggest suspect at this point. But if you ask me, the whole thing is mysteries layered upon mysteries. I don't know whether what happened there on the stage was purely an accident or not. As for how that girl chosen from the audience could suddenly disappear, I'm afraid I don't have any answers either. Even a skilled and knowledgeable magician like myself couldn't pull all that off in just 1 minute.
Which is precisely why we need to investigate. As this book says, the impossible could not have happened. Whatever happened must have been that which is possible. Paimon bought them when we were reading at the bookshop in the city earlier. Pretty cool, huh? Don't worry, Paimon used her own savings to buy them. It wasn't from our travel funds.
I think they look cute on you, Paimon.
You have good taste, Lynette.
That's the right attitude. Feeling depressed isn't going to help me now. But with the guards watching our every move, it's going to be especially difficult for Lynette and I to prove our own innocence. Good thing you agreed to be our attorneys. Thanks for that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, just leave it to us. Oh, since we're going to start investigating, Paimon has a question first. Where did Lynette go during the performance?
Ah, well, I'm afraid that would involve some of our essential trade secrets.
The secrets behind our magic are past saving, Linny.
I suppose you're right. The truth behind our tricks is going to be... 'Tis truly a pity. As a magician, our magic show is a work of art. But if revealing our secrets will help you uncover the truth behind what happened, we should go somewhere else if we're going to discuss our magic tricks. We'll go speak with the guards, and in the meantime, you can go investigate the stage and the seating areas.
All right, let's go have a look while the investigation teams are still here. Hello, officer. How's the investigation going?
Ah, I see. You must be the traveler that Lady Farina mentioned. Listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Huh? What do you mean?
Come with me and you'll see. The deceased is one of Linny's assistants, named Cal. Even though he hadn't joined the troupe long, he was hardworking, and everyone generally... The assistants are usually in charge of setting up and inspecting the props, as well as assisting with the show and keeping the crowd engaged. As you probably saw when you were in the audience, the water tank suddenly fell and smashed the box with Cowl inside it. This is the real mystery. We've already searched the scene and were unable to find any traces of the girl. However, if you look carefully, the box was positioned directly under the water tank. The ropes holding the tank were then burned by the pyrotechnics on stage. All these factors lining up so perfectly makes it hard to see this as a mere... If anything, the more logical explanation is that the whole incident was intentionally planned, and Linny is the most likely person to have access to all these...
But he doesn't have a motive.
Are you both good friends of his?
Well, you can't say we're good friends, but
So in just a short time, he was not only able to win your trust, but even convince you to act as his... I know there's no such thing as magic. The real trick of a magician is holding the... I've seen a lot of cases, and I can tell you that people are the least reliable kind of evidence. Sorry, I tend to be pretty straightforward. Anyway, you may investigate the scene of the crime yourselves if you're curious. Who...
Hostia, ¿en serio vamos a hacerte detective real? Búsqueda perspectiva. Hostia, qué chulo esto, ¿no? Me está gustando más que Sumeru. A ver, según la investigación, los fuegos explotaron cuando el espectáculo iba a terminar, quemando la cuerda y haciendo que el tanque cayera. Cayó justamente encima del baúl mágico, causando la muerte de Cowell. El sospechoso, Linney, supuestamente, es el que más probabilidades tiene de usar herramientas del crimen. ¿Por qué el fallecido es Cowell y dónde está la chica? Vale, la víctima se llamaba Cowell, era uno de los ayudantes. En vida fue una persona muy confiable para todo el equipo. Colocaba el atrecho y lo inspeccionaba. También ayudaba a la realización de los números de magia y a animar al público. Vamos a echar un vistazo al libro, ¿no?
whoever the murderer was, they must
Vale.
have made preparations well beforehand. Why would it be him? Why would it be him? Whoever the murderer
Y ponen a
was,
Paimon en forma
he
de
must have
detective
made
con bigote.
preparations well before.
Como si el bigote y la gafa le fuesen a dar más inteligencia. Línea blanca. Pero si eso es tiza, bueno, blanca. Es rarete, ¿no?
So this is the rope that broke and caused the water tank to fall. The rope looks pretty durable. How can it be burned through so quickly by fireworks?
Alguien quemó la cuerda.
Why are you suddenly so serious, traveler?
La hace ver más payasa, básicamente. Alguien ha quemado la cuerda previamente, ¿no?
Whoa. Look! This bit is made from different material. Most of it was burned away, but there's still a little bit of it left.
Hilos inflamables.
So if a rope meant to hold something was made with that kind of... Wait! Why might you write all this down?
La cuerda que sostenía el tanque se rompió cuando se prendió fuego con los fuegos artificiales. Tras investigarlo se ha descubierto que estaba hecha de un material inflamable. Por lo tanto es imposible que se quemara con eso. Hostia, qué chulo esto, ¿no? Podemos hablar con el tío, ¿no?
Go ahead, have a look around. In the end, we're both...
¿Ya está? Ah, sí, era solo eso. Vamos a preguntarle a este también, ¿no? Maurice.
Hello there. What are you investigating?
Oh, this location has also been cordoned off because the Magic Troupe members are currently considered prime suspects. The seats were all booked in advance, so we were able to deduce the missing woman's identity by checking the guest list.
Claro, el número tampoco se ha elegido al azar. Sí o sí estaba preparado.
Sure, it's not like this is confidential information. We will publish it later anyway when we Her name is Halsey. She's a painter from Fontaine who's made a bit of a name for herself. Apparently, she wasn't a regular at the Opera House, but she'd been feeling some pressure with her work lately, which the Magic Troupe members all claim not to know her. We have looked into her social connections. It seems that she has no personal grievances or conflicts of interest with the suspects. Simply put,
O sea, que no
she
tienen
wasn't related to
relación.
the Magic Troupe at all, which matches the features of the previous serial.
Were the victims of previous cases also chosen?
That's how it seems to us, in any case. Apart from the fact that they were all young women of around
la
the same
única
age
relación
range,
de las
there really weren't any other connections between them.
La única relación que tienen las desaparecidas es que tienen una edad similar. A ver, aunque no hayan encontrado cuerpos, se da por hecho que están muertas. Se da por hecho. O sea, es un asesino en serie, básicamente.
No need to be so formal. If you do happen to see the missing girl, it is of utmost importance that we get to the bottom of these disappearances.
Datos de la joven desaparecida. Se llama Halsey, pintora que decidió asistir para distraerse un poco de la presión de su trabajo. No hay ninguna disputa, enemistad o relación entre ella y el grupo de magia. Contenido actualizado.
Whoever the murderer was, they must have made preparation. This rope was obviously tampered with. Why would it be him? Gosh, no wonder the serial disappearances never got
Es que claro, es
solved.
más difícil pillar a una persona que... ¿Cómo decirlo? Escoge personas al azar, ¿vale? O de un grupo muy, muy limitado. Tipo que solamente se fija en la edad. En el sexo y la edad, ya está. Pues es más difícil. Y si no tienen nada en común las víctimas, pues peor todavía. Es más complicadete. Ahí hay otra pista. Vamos a hablar con esta, a ver. Bueno, con esta.
The investigation team has some
no,
new
su tío.
findings. Turns out there's an issue with the random number selector after all.
See, I told you. What if the machine picked some big guy's seat?
Sorry to interrupt, but we're helping Linny and Lynette with their side of the investigation.
You're trying to help them? That'll be a tall order.
Lenny used the machine to pick a random member of the audience during his performance, right? Well, we thought there might be a serious problem with the machine, so we had it taken away for further inspection.
It turns out that the seat number it picked wasn't random at all. The machine picks that same number every time. I'm sure you already know that you have to make a reservation in advance to get a seat. In other words, Linny knew who would be sitting where from the very beginning.
That much checks out. Linny reserved our seats for us too.
Bet you see why I was saying it'd be tough to make a case for Linny.
Even though it's bad for Linny's case, Paimon had better write it down.
A ver, estaba claro. La máquina que se usó para seleccionar al espectador se descubrió que siempre seleccionaba el mismo número. Estaba claro que alguien la manipuló. Obviamente, ¿no?
Why would it be him? Whoever the These people needed to register and reserve a seat for the show. That combined.
O sea que era fácil seleccionar a la víctima. ¿Qué ha pasado aquí? Tras peinar la escena, la guardia ha conservado el baúl mágico dañado. No me da tiempo a leerlo. Ahora que lo veo, el tanque de agua debió de impactar con mucha fuerza. Obviamente, ¿no? Cuanto más pesa, o más y más alto esté, peor. Habría que mirar... Claro, es que nos tendrán que decir cómo hicieron el truco. Si habría un pasadizo secreto por abajo o algo, ¿no? ¿Cómo yo veo a Paimon? Parece un baúl sin nada especial. ¿Cómo pudo llegar hasta aquí durante el espectáculo? Allá hay otra persona. Aquí hay otra. ¿Dónde estaba la tía sentada? Estaban interrogándolos.
Lenny's still talking to the guards. It seems he'll have a lot of explain. I think someone will be assigned to monitor us later, but
A ver, obviamente, ¿no? Son los mayores sospechosos.
I see that you're investigating the area. Well, if you find any new and interesting leads, be sure to share them with me, all right?
We don't have too many thoughts yet.
Then why don't I tell you my hypothesis first?
The thud? Oh, you mean the sound that happened during the countdown?
Yes, exactly. It wasn't terribly loud, but I suspect that most people heard it. It's just that everyone was awaiting the results of Lenny's trick with bated breath, so no one paid it much mind.
That makes sense.
I'm of the opinion that it may have been the sound of Lenny's accomplice. Lynette, perhaps. Jumping atop the water tank, or something like that. And when the pyrotechnics went off, she cut the rope, sending the water tank crashing down.
But wasn't the noise we heard too loud for that?
Perhaps the balance wasn't right, leading to a particularly rough landing.
Ah, sí, normal. Eso te iba a decir. Hostia, es verdad, son ya casi las 9, ¿eh? Vale, pues Dualex, gracias por pasarte. Espero que te hayas divertido y entretenido, que sé que no. Y nada, yo seguiré aquí investigando, como el gran detective que soy. Tú también deberías descansar. No, va a ser que no. Si acaso, mejor cuando termine esta misión, salgo a tomar el aire. Pero a dormir, no. Y dale, pero bueno, entonces no. A ver, es lo que hay, ¿no? Duerme algo así, sea en la sala o algo. No, no, no. Aquí, imposible. Eso es imposible, descartado. A ver, la hipótesis de este tío no se sostiene. Efectivamente, el tanque se movería. O sea, si ella salta al tanque, el tanque se movería. Y... además, no creo que sea ella porque es un personaje jugable. No tendría sentido, ¿no?
Oh, that's true.
That does remind Paimon, though.
Extraño sonido que tuvo lugar durante el espectáculo. Se escuchó un fuerte golpe, el cual llegaron a oír muchos espectadores. A ver.
Whoever the murderer was, why would it... We all heard that noise, didn't we?
Vale, nos falta una pista. Está marcando allí. La Arconte, ¿desde dónde estaba viendo el espectáculo? Desde arriba, ¿no?
Hey, you! Yes, both of you! Over here! I've been keeping an eye on you for a while now.
¿Y esta tía quién es?
You mean us?
That's right.
If I'm not mistaken, you're also among those who wish to cut down the thorns.
Well, you're right on the more about that one, but who are you?
Have you never heard of the Spina di Rosula? From mediating disputes and providing protection to solving conundrums, you name it, Spina di Rosula does it. And I, Navia, have the honor of being its renowned president. Though those who play by our rules call me boss.
I'm Silver, her attendant. Pleased to meet you.
And I'm Melus, Demoiselle's various daily needs and affairs.
Huh? Boss?
Y está con el bigote.
What gives with the names?
Well, I am the second generation president. Melus and the others are still...
My apologies, Demoiselle. Should you prefer, boss, I will...
No need. You don't have to call me boss. Just Navia is fine.
Okay, if you say so. Not that we're members of Spina di
All merely trifling details. Never mind. Now, that's right. I've always kept an eye on the serial disappearance cases. My interest stems from a matter back... Judging from the look of things, I find Linny an unlikely mastermind.
Really? We think so too. That's why we're looking for clues now. But how did you come to that conclusion?
Intuition, naturally. My unparalleled intuition. Farina sure was quick to point the finger at Linny without any decisive evidence whatsoever.
Bueno, la Furina esa acusa a cualquiera por cualquier gilipollez.
But that's not uncommon for her. If you remember, the justice had to interrupt her and ask if she was pressing charges just to keep her from getting carried away. Anyway, a trial begins the moment someone levels charges. And, of course, there was...
Sounds more like you just don't trust that.
Well, what's your opinion? I must admit that she can be interesting at times. But liking her doesn't mean that I'll blindly... All right, I've answered your question. Now, it's...
Wait a minute! Did that answer count?
Well, I say it does. But don't worry. In your opinion, do you think it's right to treat a trial like it's an...
Well?
And why would that be? See, Silver and Melus?
Most astute of you, Demoiselle. I, too, think that no matter how wonderful the script or how fervent the audience's expectations may... And if that can be done, boss, then...
All right, that's quite enough, Melus. Anyway, now, I need to make some preparations, following which our...
Wait! Since when did we become assistants?
Oh, well, I can be the assistant. Sure.
That's more like it.
Far be it from me to brag, but I believe that Demoiselle's intuition... You wish to save a friend from false accusations, and we wish to unravel the disappearances.
You have a point. And what about you over there? What do you think? You seem like you've got something on your mind.
I have nothing to add.
Oh, alrighty then.
We'll be making some preparations first. Just be sure to let us know if they...
Nos queda una pista, pero antes voy a ir a por agua. Vale, vamos a seguir. Seguir buscando pistas. Tristan. Es una furra.
But no one can freely enter or exit the Opera House at the moment. If you wish to leave, you must register your identity with us first.
No, we're not leaving. We're representing Linny and Lynette as a turn. Were you always guarding this entrance?
Yes. After the gave the order, everyone coming. So the missing girl couldn't have left from here. At least, not from that point on. I doubt there was much opportunity then either.
How can you be so sure?
Well, because I was in charge of security near the and I couldn't see Linny's performance from here, which was quite, but still, I did not abandon my post. And I stayed put no matter how loud the applause was. If we Melusines are good at that sort of thing, you know.
Melusina.
So, it's safe to say the girl could... Alright, thank you for your help. This
O
will
sea,
be
así lo
useful info.
entendemos, así lo he entendido. ¿Me estás diciendo que la chica que ha desaparecido será, o se la han llevado por otra parte o está aquí todavía? Nadie abandonó la escena durante el espectáculo. Voy a poner esto un poquito más. Nadie abandonó la escena durante el espectáculo tras el incidente, bueno, el asesinato. Solo aquellos cuya identidad ya había sido verificada podían abandonar el recinto. Nadie abandonó el recinto entonces.
We've checked everything of note here at the performance venue. Paimon wonders how Linny's discussion with the guards is going.
Podría estar en plan, bueno.
Let's go see, shall we? Ooh, things are getting interesting, huh? We're about to see how magic is made.
O sea, podríamos pensar, a ver, a lo mejor se ha escabullido usando su visión o algún truco. Total, son magos. Pero claro, ¿cómo sacas a la chica? Una cosa es que tú te escapes, te escabullas, pero... Ok, hostia, nosotros en primera fila, pero... Estos tienen también una vista privilegiada. Aunque bueno, sí, en primera fila es mejor, ¿verdad? Porque desde aquí... A mí que me gustaría ir a la ópera, aunque fuese una vez en la vida. Son cosas que me gustaría hacer. Estos asientos sí que son más privilegiados. Gracias a este asiento. Aquí. Bueno, siempre cagándola desde tiempo inmemorial. No, ya me han quitado lo de investigar. No se veía el espectáculo desde el puesto de la guardia. De haber sido Paimon, no habría podido resistir la tentación de colarse al público.
Understood. Then I will be going with you. Just so you're aware, I will be monitoring your actions and making notes as necessary.
Very good. Thanks for being so agreeable. I'd pull a rose out of my hat as a gift.
You may spare the pleasantries. I'm just...
You've arrived. Who's this?
Me? I'm Spina di Rosula's guardian angel. If you got... Sorry, I got a little carried away there. And these are my companions. Would you mind if they join as well?
Fine by me.
Oh, new helpers? I would be most grateful.
Well, let's just say we're tagging along. It's not every day you get to see the secrets behind magic performed on such a...
I appreciate your kind interest. Come with me. We'll be heading below stage.
Huh? Below stage?
Yes, a world of secrets is hidden beneath this magic box. But before I reveal everything, you should have a look first. Notice anything strange here? I'm not trying to be dramatic. Remembering the details of a trick will help you understand the methods used to perform it more easily.
Huh. Weren't there balloons and other decorations here?
Ah, good eye. That said, you're still far from
The back? You mean the inside of the door?
Very good indeed. I thought you might not be. The back of this door was patterned. Those patterns are now gone, replaced by a smooth wooden board. So, if you put 2 and 2 together, what do you get?
Hay otro baúl dentro del baúl. Pero el problema es... Aún así no explicaría cómo él apareció en uno y ella en otro.
Exactly. All right, let's go. I'll tell you how it works as we head down.
Bajando, o sea, lo que he dicho, tienen una entrada secreta por abajo.
So there was a passageway under the magic box!
Lo típico, o sea, era lo más fácil.
I knew you'd figure out most of it as soon as you saw this. The 2 magic boxes are positioned right above the 2 entrances of the tunnel. See this flatbed trolley? The box with the lucky audience member in it would be shuttled over to the other side using...
This trolley can raise and lower and even rotate, ensuring that the box will face...
I see. So that's the purpose of the box inside.
Precisely. The inner box would descend after the audience member was put inside and be moved along the trolley.
So that's how you did it!
Once the box was lowered, the trolley would store some energy through this device. The audience member would only be able to feel some slight movements in the dark, and by the time she walked out...
Right! You were talking that whole time, and you even came out for a moment.
Ah, yes. A phonograph operated by Lynette was used to achieve. My assistant and I had already scripted our conversation beforehand. When the countdown began, I had already gone to the opposite...
And what about Lynette?
I was in the mezzanine space in the back of the box.
Oh, interesting!
That's how we were able to coordinate Linny's lines with the assistant. And, by the way, I was the one who walked out of the box at the end.
I mean, we are twins. All it takes is a change of clothes and no one can tell who's who. And that's my favorite part of this trick. Only Lynette and I can perform it.
So that's how it all worked! Wow,
Lynette would briefly walk out of the box and then go back in, jumping into the tunnel and escaping before the box on the trolley could fit. And then I walk out of the other box in the audience area, and the trick would be complete. But as you saw, Cal was in the box, not our audience member.
We really don't know how that happened.
If not for that interlude, this would have been an astonishing trick. And yet, to think that someone was able to use this magic trick to commit
A ver,
a
es que
crime.
es muy raro, tío, es muy difícil esto, porque la persona que lo hizo, primero, sabía el truco. Segundo, ¿cómo lo hizo? Y tercero, lo más importante, trucó el tema de los números para que saliese justamente ella, y obviamente sabía dónde se sentaba ella. ¿Cómo?
Could we have a look around? I think we can come up with some more leads.
This is the scene of the crime, so Linny and Lynette are not permitted to stay here. I'll escort them back up.
Yes, of course. No need to be so strict now. I won't disappear into thin air, you know.
Thanks, everyone. We're counting on you.
Ahora que lo pienso, ¿dónde están sus visiones? Se las dieron... ¿A quién se las dieron? A un tío, ¿no? Se las llevaron. Vale, el número de magia fue a través de un túnel, el baúl con doble fondo, y el baúl donde estaba él también metido, tanto él como la espectadora, atravesaron medio túnel. Y entre tanto en el escenario se cambió de ropa para cumplir con su papel de ayudante. La parte posterior del baúl había una trampilla. Lynette, vestida con ropa de Linney, estuvo todo el tiempo ahí escondida para que, casi al final de la cuenta, hiciera una breve aparición y hacer creer a la gente que Linney se había transportado. El baúl está dividido en dos niveles, uno exterior y uno interior, situado en el centro de las gradas. Debajo de él había un túnel subterráneo, lo que hacía posible transportarlo junto a la persona que había dentro de él sin que el público se percatara. Claro, el problema entonces está en el ruido que se escuchó. Seguiría, tú sabes, llevándose a la tía. Cambiando el baúl. Eso sería más factible, cambió el baúl, ¿no? Ah, pero ¿cómo cambias el baúl? Un montón de pistas, ¿eh? Interruptor. Este debe ser el mecanismo del carro de carga. Funciona automáticamente. Para acceder al baúl de la superficie se necesita una escalera.
What's this? Looks like a hook tied to the end of a rope. Huh? There's a...
Perhaps it was a prop for a different trick.
Whatever it is, let's...
Cuerda con gancho. Por algún motivo tiene un gancho atado a ella. ¿Por qué está esto aquí? Es verdad, esto a ellos no lo han nombrado.
The floor is wet. Please be careful not to slip.
Speaking of which, why would...
Oh, Paimon knows! It's one of those tricks where you... And here's a broken vase! Huh.
That can't be. The trolley moves along tracks.
Let's note this down too and
Jarrón roto. Los fragmentos de un jarrón roto que había al lado del túnel. El agua también ha acabado en el suelo. A juzgar por la distancia en la que estaba, es imposible que lo rompiera el carro de carga que transportaba el baúl mágico al ir de un lado a otro. ¿Por qué está roto? ¿Y esta ropa?
Oh, these are the clothes that the lady chosen from the audience was wearing, right?
Espera, espera, le quitaron la ropa.
Her clothes are here, but she's nowhere to be found.
Right. And do you really need to do that if you're kidnapping them? Ugh, this is so confusing. Paimon doesn't want to be a...
De pronto te rindes. Por motivos que aún se desconoce, la ropa de la víctima, o sea, de la chica desaparecida, estaba tirada en el túnel. La única explicación es que, después de dormirla o de gasearla o de lo que sea, le cambió la ropa. O ella misma lo hizo. Aunque la ropa la escondería, ¿no? Podrías esconderla por aquí. Le digo igual. Tenía prisa.
What is this place?
It seems someone could fit through here.
Could this have...
Alone, perhaps. But if...
But there are no other ways in or out of here. Oh, you're right. Let Paimon write that down.
Conducto de ventilación del túnel. A juzgar por el espacio del conducto, una persona podría arreglárselas para cruzarlo. Aún así, no es lo suficiente grande como para que alguien se llevara a la joven desaparecida. Claro, todo empieza... O sea, empieza todo a rodear más bien a la víctima como la posible causante. Me explico. Ella sabía cuál era su asiento, por lo tanto podía trucar lo del sorteo. Ella misma se quitó la ropa. Y ella misma se escapó por el túnel. Lo que no sé es por qué está el jarrón roto. ¿Por qué está el jarrón roto? Quizás estaba dentro de la ropa que se puso. Vale, vamos a seguir.
Seems we're just about done investigating down here.
Es interesante
Let's
esto.
head back up.
A ver, no hay color. A ver, que sí, que a mí me gusta mucho el tema de lo de investigar y todo eso. Y eso me puede influir un poco en mi valoración. Pero siendo sincero, o sea, siendo sincero real, ahora mismo Fontaine está pisando a Sumeru. Al menos por ahora, que luego puede ir en picada hacia abajo. Pero me está gustando más que Sumeru. Bueno, vamos a la superficie ya.
Well, we've ascertained the state of the crime scene. Let's find a place to sort out our findings once Malus returns.
Apologies for the wait,
So, what did the guards say? Did the criminal escape through the vent?
They believe the odds of that are very low. The guards have checked the area carefully. No one left through the basement during the performance or after the
So the tunnels become like a secret chamber then. You know, like the kind you usually see in novels.
The plot thickens. No wonder Farina was so confident in her accusation.
In other words, the charges are very likely to be upheld unless we make some
Charges and then trial. So if
That's right. This is how a trial goes in the Opera House. During the proceedings, the Chief Justice... That's right. This is how indemnitium is produced. The statements from both sides, the defenses from attorneys, witness testimonies, and even the audience's emotions will all be projected on the oratrice. To put it simply, it's as if the oratrice has its own will, and is a judge in its own right.
This also precludes any kind of favoritism on the part of the Chief Justice. And not that this has ever happened anyway.
Once both sides have finished speaking, the Chief Justice will make his final decision. Then, finally, the oratrice will be consulted by officials.
Huh? So that machine is the one that actually decides? I'm on that Neverlet Cup.
In practice, there is very little difference. Both have always come to the same judgment. Which is why people have great faith in the Chief Justice. Ah, yes, the guards also asked me to convey that none of us will be allowed to leave this place before the trial.
Pues qué guay, ¿no? Pero a ver, es normal.
Because we've chosen to act as the twins' proxies. That...
They're concerned that we might be colluding with outside parties. or that we might find outside help to disrupt. And even if that were not so, it could prove problematic if we happen to spread key information about the.
I'm ready to break out at any time.
Whoa! There's no need for that! Paimon thinks they have a point!
Of course. I just hope you don't mind the lack of options. I'm afraid that catering to all tastes is not in the cards, nor
In that case, let's just sort out our findings together here. Pity. I was hoping to take you to try some. I mean, what better way to properly think through our findings than over some tea and sweet?
Huh. Breaking out suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad idea. Just kidding! Paimon will still do her best, even if there are no snacks.
What do you mean, no snacks? Of course we'll.
Huh? Here? But how?
Understood, Demoiselle. Everyone, please come with me.
Wait, you're carrying a portable stove with you?
Yes, I must be prepared to meet the Demoiselle's baking needs whenever the fancy strikes her.
I have eggs, sugar, and almonds at the ready.
Good work, you two. Then I'll get to it. Please sit tight for a moment.
These three are quite the interesting group.
Hombre, esto ya lo veo fuera de lugar.
And Paimon
Venga,
thought
¿y
it
qué más?
smelled good while it was still in the oven. From the way you had these
Me
two
está
guys
entrando hambre, me
carrying
cago
all
en mi
that
puta
stuff
madre.
around, Paimon thought you'd have them do more, but you ended up doing the entire thing by yourself.
I was applauding.
And I was giving encouraging smiles.
Paimon was just thinking. Aren't you worried about getting your fancy dress dirty beating...
Well, I don't think it's carved in stone anywhere that fancy ladies can only read books, sip tea. Don't underestimate beating egg weights, by the way. It's a real arm workout. You also need to beat them to just the right consistency, or your macarons will crack. Anyway, give these a try. Fresh out of the oven. There's
Only 3?
Well, eating too many sweet treats might send all that sugar to your head.
Tea is ready to be served as well. This is Demoiselle's favorite, strong black tea with a floral fragrance that clears. No need for concern.
All right then. Down to business. As Paimon mentioned previously, the tunnel seems to be something of a secret chamber. However, we can assume that Linny and Lynette were not alone within it. The magician twins could have committed the crimes, of course, but they left.
Exactly! Why would they do such a thing right when everyone was watching?
The flower vase and the thud we heard during the performance could indicate some altercation between Halsey and the resulting in the shattering of the vase, the discarding of her clothes. Perhaps the criminal thought that since she was chosen from the crowd, she would be too easy to identify if she was still.
Paimon thinks that makes sense, but the real trouble is...
True. None of the clues we found thus far support. But the only people left to consider are both technically victims.
Huh. Could Halsey have secretly made modifications to the magic props in order to murder Cowell before making her escape?
That's right. And even if she had tampered with the setup, she would need to understand. Nor does she have any motive. The guards said that she has never had any dealings with the magic troops.
Were we not thorough enough in our search? From the sound of things, this is turning into an impossible case. Your macarons are amazing, though, Navia. They smell great. They're nice and crisp and
Hombre, ahora que ha
super
dicho
sweet.
yo esa... ha dado un juego también con la clave. Quizás el tío quería secuestrarla. Se pelearon y ella lo mató. Ella, sin saber el truco de magia, lo metió en el baúl donde estaba ella, sin saber que luego iba a ser arrollado. Y ella se escapó. Demasiado rebuscado porque sigue sin explicación lo de la cuerda.
They are are my specialty after all.
What? 5? Oh, that can't be right. Paimon only...
Please don't worry about it. At my age, a few less sweet...
No. Being greedy is one thing, but besides, Paimon knows that if she ate too many, then others wouldn't have enough. Wait, even you don't believe Paimon? If Paimon ate those 2 extra macarons, then may they turn into stone in her...
All right, we get it. Well, I suppose one of us might have gotten too engrossed in our chat and eaten up the loose. Set up the stove again, if you would.
Huh?
Making sure everyone gets 3 macarons, of course.
Exactly. We don't want to trouble...
As you wish, demoiselle.
And I have the egg, sugar, and almonds.
Muy raro esto. ¿Por qué han desaparecido? Así ella dice que no se los ha comido.
Well, that's it for snack time. I'm going to have another look around the area. I don't know what we're looking for yet, but we've still got some time. As attorneys, I suggest the 2 of you think it would be awkward if you got all tongue-tied on stage during the trial.
All right, thanks for your help, and for the snacks.
It was nothing. A small task for the Spina di Rosula. Silver, Malus, it's time to go. I'll be back if I find anything new.
Posibilidad de una tercera persona.
It's time to put our heads together. We've got to get our defense ready for the trial. Oh, it's probably gonna be a long and difficult case. There's no point in worrying about that now. We just...
Cállate, Paimon, eres muy pesada.
Why would it be... Well, there would take...
Pistas.
Whoever the... This is... Paimon doesn't get this at all.
Me faltan pistas.
Here, take Paimon's notes. They should help you review the situation.
Propagate!
No hay nada. Pero pone que faltan 2 pistas en el túnel, ¿eh? ¿Qué hora había dicho? De 8 a 10. Vale, pues un minuto. Vale. Vamos a pasar el tiempo. Límite de tiempo alcanzado. Ahora estamos a día con... Bah. Es lo que hay, ¿no? Asiste al juicio. No lo entiendo, tío. Voy al juicio sin pruebas ni nada. O sea, a ver, supongo que esto está hecho adrede. Por mucho que investigues no vas a descubrir nada hasta que llegues al juicio, ¿no?
What do we do? The whole situation is so confusing.
No sacar
Good
conclusiones.
plan. Impossible things don't just happen. Look at...
Es que me falta una pista. Y aquí dos.
The truth one way or another.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects, besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about.
Thanks, Navia.
Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing.
Well, now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't tell me that you're that was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the
And you didn't hear anything else at all?
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud.
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something's not right here.
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box, and I definitely heard the
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Hostia, chunguete esto, eh.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are... Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
The House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
Hey, Linny! Why didn't you tell us this before?
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene in 1 hour.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little while longer.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler, and...
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon just knew where to start. We trusted you two. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad!
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and reasonably so, but please, let me explain. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make, but our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities and goals.
Right now, we want to save people.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become... That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but... Right, let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
Of course. I'll answer any question you... We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it... During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opera. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so after that, the homicide occurred just as...
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crime.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mist, but like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's...
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense. Huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
Ugh, that took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective. Countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he used the vase to knock her out before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney red-handed. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too afterward. Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the And there you have it.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. Seems this won't produce... According to Linney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't...
Linny went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. Linny did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the...
Attention! Ace detect. When the countdown started, Linny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, the crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that! Wasn't it awesome?
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around. Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your... Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he... You're saying that he wasn't?
That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Linny had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to... Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or... could there have been a third person involved? Is that really a possibility? Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. The deceased's name is Cal.
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowl, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth, what Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to No one entered or left the opera house through its The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Linny as well. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's. No one entered or left. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both. Linny was not in the tunnel at that. The sound we heard may have come from a clash. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The deceased's name is Cowell. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both people. The sound we heard may have come from a clash. No one entered or left the opera house through its Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal The deceased's name is Cowell. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between. Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our. The deceased's name is Cowell. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances, so where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey? The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey. No one entered or left. The sound we heard may have come. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. It would have been tough for both people to fit.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff. And
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must—
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is...
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed...
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here. Must we really? I should think that of any magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirect.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we— Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to—
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personally...
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water.
The primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had... The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely, as such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact,
You've gotta be kidding! People dissolving into...
Could something so ridiculous actually...
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but...
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell... Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic. Albeit guards, please continue examining the item. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by...
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case is seemingly unrelated...
Right! Like the metal hook! That would... Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial...
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was... The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. As such, the focus here is on the water and not the tank. The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped before Halsey entered the magic box. Now it seems like the hook rope was... The water from the primordial... The rope that held the water tank... Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box.
Ahem. It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowl would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of...
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What?
That can't be. Oh, I see. Well, does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my... Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vet upon his return in cruel avarice. Linny desired sole credit and prepared. Ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, am I right, Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything either. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen?
I think we've all seen enough now. And I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice, should we not, in your view...
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from... I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back...
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linny and Lynette, give it another go. Don't, but as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the fun.
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she...
That'll teach you to underestimate...
Where should I begin? I'm so...
What?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so that's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And but I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nap. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into... There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costume. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no—
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lillian. Seems this... Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding... The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed. The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was...
And it's Ace Detective! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that he did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief, mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk. She knew that she would have to go go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So,
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses.
at this point, all the events that happened in the...
Ah, so that's the...
Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left?
Wow! Look at that!
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman, to cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermark. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Liliane was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud... Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Liliane. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box. Liliane, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact... While there is much in Linny and Liliane's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not...
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon...
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said high. Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and see...
Yes! I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which, when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have expected
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true, but...
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Lenny...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me, but still. Let me thank you again for defending me to the end, even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Linny this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
A knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would be. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performance.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than...
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean,
Oh no. But wouldn't Fontaine's laws...
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood. And the...
So, she'd already taken care of that...
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement. Father, I mean, the Knave, might have seen something in me, and the House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been but she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power once she obtains it.
So, she believes...
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting everyone at Hotel Bouffe d'été, including the Knave, has their roots in Fontaine. And we will always, to us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
It's all right. I understand. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as...
Bye, Linny!
hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Don't you think so, too? Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs.
Ah. I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. But I suppose you are just travelers who have only... Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Oh, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become clearer. Sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm if Boss Navia's treating...
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the Court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time.
All right, then. Let's have our farewell meal.